Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as kṣetra-jña yoga, also as prakṛti puruṣa vibhāga yoga, also as prakṛti puruṣa viveka yoga. Sloka 1 and 2, part 2. Arjuna uvāca prakṛtiṁ puruṣaṁ caiva kṣetraṁ kṣetra-jñam etad veditum icchāmi jñānaṁ jñeyaṁ ca keśava śrī-bhagavān uvāca idaṁ śarīraṁ kaunteya kṣetramittabhidhīyate etad yo vetti tam prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. Arjuna said, "O my dear Kṛṣṇa, I wish to know about prakṛti, nature, puruṣa, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kuntī, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." In the previous session, we spent time on understanding the kṣetra and kṣetra-jña, that is the body and the knower of the body, which is self, that is atma. We also saw few differences between self and body, and also we learned how we misidentify ourselves to this body. Today we will see 3 objections or arguments that place under what we have learned previously in the previous session. Objection 1. What we have learned so far is that this is body. I am Atma. Whenever we hear or say, I am Manushya, that is, I am a man. I is the Atma, and man, that manliness, refers to the body. But the objection is, the world understanding is very common and prominent, and it is well accepted. That is, whenever we say, I am a man, I am Manushya, I am Devaha, I and the identification Deva, Manushya are considered equal. If we have to reject that which has been understood commonly in these terms, then might as well we can reject anything for that matter. The kṣetra and the knower of the kṣetra, kṣetra-jña, these things can also be rejected. If that which is commonly understood need to be rejected, this concept of kṣetra, kṣetra-jña, the body and knower of the body, can also be rejected. That is the first argument. The answer: a person who understands these are not ordinary people like us. We are not self-realized souls. We are common people. When a person considers Atma and Deha, that is self and body, to be one, they are common people. They are unfortunate ones. Whereas those who are able to see the differences, that the body and Atma are 2 distinct different entities, are not common people. They are special, fortunate one. And that is what also is confirmed in the Shastra. Shastras also clearly state that I and Manushya are two different entities. Therefore, the first argument we can reject based on common usage is not going to be accepted. Now let's understand the second argument. Let's take an example of a pot. The pot is different from the body. The cloth is different from the body. How do we know they are different? Because I understand this is pot, this is cloth. When I understand an object, I say I can understand this is pot. That's a statement. I can say I can understand this is a cloth. That's a second statement. Which means I know this is pot, I know this is cloth. I don't say I am Manushya. I am a man who understands this is a pot. I am a man who understands this is a cloth. Rather, we just simply say, I understand this is a pot, which implies, without saying, that I am Manushya, I am a man who understands this is a pot. I am a man who understands this is a cloth. Here, the man, Manushya, no need to be explicitly called out. When I say I am short, I need a tall chair. We don't say that I am a man who is short, I need a tall chair. Because Manushya, man, is inclusive into the statement without even calling out for it explicitly. The point is that when I say I understand this is a pot, it is clear enough that I am Manushya who understand this is a pot. When I say I am short, I need a tall chair, it is clear enough that I am a Manushya who is short and need a tall chair. Therefore, the argument here is the way one understands when one says, I understand this is a pot, he relates himself to be the man who understands the pot. He is not relating himself to be a tiger. He is not relating himself to be a cat. He relates very clearly that he is a man who understands this is a pot. Like how he doesn't think himself to be a tiger, he is a man, himself to be a cat, but he is a man, himself to be a Atma, rather as a man. One doesn't think I am Atma who understands this to be a pot. Rather, he thinks that I am Manushya who understands this to be a pot. So, here Manushya and self are equalized. Therefore, when he understands the pot, he thinks himself to be Manushya who understands this pot not as Atma. So in this argument, the kṣetra-jña is Manushya, not Atma for that person. And I, Manushya, who understand this kṣetra, and that kṣetra is the field, and that field is the body. So this is how he understands. If that is the case, then why are we discussing all this kṣetra, kṣetra-jña, self, body, and so forth? Because everyone understands themselves with what they are. If I am a man, I understand I am a man who see this as pot. I am a man who understands this to be a cloth. I am a man who understands this to be the body. So the second argument is that since he has been always thinking himself to be Manusha, a man, he is a man who understands that this is a body. Now let's see the answer. That which is to be known is body. One who understands that is Atma. But if one thinks that this body of mine is known to me, who is Manusya, then there is no difference between the known object and the knower. The body and the characteristic of the body, which is Manusya. We are equalizing both with no differences. There are three terms we need to be familiar with: Vedana, Vedya, Vedita. Vedana, the knowledge of the object. Vedya is the object that to be known. And Vedita is the one who knows. Vedana, the knowledge of the object. This is present in the Atma. And the subject to that knowledge is idaṁ, that is, this body. Idaṁ is the subject of knowledge, which is Vedya. And aham, that is Atma, is the shelter, ashraya, for that knowledge, Vedana. When we start mixing up things, that's where the confusion comes. Let's understand this. How one clearly says that the pot is different from him, the cloth is different from him. Likewise, a person, when he says, this is my body, this is my leg, this is my eyes, he is not thinking himself to be the leg, to be the eyes, to be the hands, or for that matter, he doesn't think himself to be the body when he says, my body is aching. So it is not true to say that one identifies oneself as Manusya when one understands the objects. He identifies himself as Manusya when he gets connected to the external object. Meaning, when I say, I understand this is pot, I understand this is cloth, at that point of time, one may relate oneself to be a man who understands this to be a pot, this to be a cloth. But when it comes to internal senses like body, mind, hands, legs, etc., he doesn't think the same manner. Rather, he thinks I and this body, this leg, are two different entities, and at that point he doesn't think I, a man whose body is aching, I, a man whose leg is hurting. So the answer is yes, one relates oneself to a man when he understands something which is external to the body, but when it comes to internal, he doesn't identify himself as a dog or a deva or a manusya. Rather, he separates himself as I, aham, which is neither man nor devata nor any of those destinations. This is the response for the second argument. The second argument was people always think themselves to be what they are in understanding things. The answer is it is not always they think whatever they are. Rather, when it comes to external object, they may think like that, But when it comes to internally, to one's own senses and bodies, they don't think the same way. Now we'll see the last argument. We hear statements like clay pot, blue pot, golden pot, decorative pot, tasty fruit, colorful fruit. Here we are combining two terms into a single term. The clay is different from pot. Blue is different from the pot. Taste is different from the fruit. But nevertheless, we combine these two and speak as if it is a single entity, as clay pot, blue pot, tasty fruit. And when we do this, this is called samanādhikaranya. We are allowed to combine the two objects as one because they are inseparable. Clay is pot, therefore clay pot. Pot itself in blue color, therefore blue pot. And the fruit is fully tasty, therefore tasty fruit. Now let's see what is the argument or objection on this. When one says, I am devaha, I am manushaha, I am fair, I am dark, I am tall man, the same applies that I, man, tall, dark, etc. are read equal, meaning I equal to man equal to tall equal to dark, as per the samanādhikaranya. Let's see the answer. Aham devaha, aham manushyaha, I am deva, I am manushya. When we use samanādhikaranya, it's not based on the similarity of the object. It's not because two objects are same, therefore we are studying as a single term, I am deva, I am manushya. When we say decorative pot, wider pot, golden pot, clay pot, colorful pot, these decoration, wider, colorful, golden, clay, are certainly not same as the pot. When we say clay pot, clay and pot are not same. They are two different entity, objects. When we say I am Brahmana, I am dark, I am tall, these are gunas, characteristic qualities. But I am not the character, the quality. I am different from that. Like how we just saw colorful pot or tasty fruit. The taste and fruit are different. The color and pot are different. The jati, guna and karma. The pot has a jati called ghatatvam, and the guna is it is brown or black in color, and its karma is used for holding water. But when we say black pot, it is as per the samanādhikaranya. When we say white pot, it is as per the samanādhikaranya. Though we read them in single term, they are different. Black and pot are different. One is the quality, that is black is the quality, and the other one is the shelter of that quality, ashraya of that quality. Therefore, the jati, guna, karma are different and take shelter of their object. So if they are different, two separate entity, then how can you apply samanādhikaranya? How can we read them as a single term? The principle is, we must know that though separated two objects can be read as a single term as per samanādhikaranya, but there is another important clause to it, condition. That is, they can't be separated, but at the same time they are different, not one and the same. The clay is different from pot, but cannot be separated. The black color in the pot is different from the pot, but the black color cannot be separated. Therefore, in that sense, samanādhikaranya can be applied. Similarly, the Atma and Sharira are two different entities, but they are inseparable in this world. Hence, reading them in single term is not a concept. One can say, I am Manushyaha, not because they are equal in object, but they are inseparable. Under that condition, one can use samanādhikaranya. I am Manushya, I am man, I am Devata. When the Atma leaves the body, it is no longer called as I am Devata, I am Manushya. So, as long as the Atma resides in the body, it is a body, and when it exits the body, it is no more read in same term as body. That is the response for the argument. One more we certainly don't want to miss. Let's see this argument or objection as well. When we see a white cow, when we see a black horse, when we see a brown dog, what we perceive is the body with that color, not the Atma. Therefore, when we say Aham Manushya, we no need to introduce Atma in that. It is the body which is being perceived. And this is another argument. Let's see the answer. The way that we need to address this is by asking questions in written. Number 1. When you say that we don't see the Atma, we only see the external thing, the color, the quality, characteristics. Therefore, there is nothing as something new called Atma need to be introduced. 3 questions. Are you saying the Atma is not perceived by your senses, but only the body is being perceived? Number 2. Are you saying the Atma is not perceived by your manas, the mind, but only the body is being perceived by your mind? Or are you saying the Atma is not perceived by your pure mind, but only body is being perceived? Let's understand again the argument. The argument is, when we see something, we don't see that as an Atma. When we see a black dog, we see it's black in color, and that's a dog. When we see a white cow, we see it's a cow which is white in color. We don't see that it's an Atma which is a cow which is white in color. So to answer this one, the first question back to the person is, are you saying the Atma is not perceived by your senses? What your senses are perceiving is only the body? If the answer is yes, then senses are meant for perceiving the Thula element, the gross elements, not the subtle Atma, Sushma Atma. Therefore, because your senses are not able to see the Atma, it doesn't prove the non-existence of Atma. Rather, you must say your senses has no power to see the Atma, not to say that Atma doesn't exist. It's like just because I have not visited Australia, I haven't seen Australia, doesn't mean that Australia doesn't exist. Just because your senses are not able to perceive the Atma, that doesn't mean Atma doesn't exist. Because senses are limited, they can only perceive and understand which are gross elements, not the subtler Atma. That's a response for the first. Second, if someone says, no, it is not the sense, even through my mind, by my manas, I'm not able to perceive the Atma. I can only perceive the body. Well, if that is the case, the response to that question or argument is, the mind that you're talking, is that pure mind or conditioned mind? If the response is, it's a conditioned mind, contaminated mind, then the answer is obvious. Because of the Rajoguna and Tamoguna, it is not able to realize the Atma. Your mind is not able to understand and realize the Atma. Therefore, the impure mind will not be able to see the Atma. Again, because of that reason, one cannot say Atma doesn't exist. And finally, if the person says, no, it is pure mind. If you are saying Atma is not perceived by pure mind, all it could see is only the body, well, that cannot be true. Why? Great sages, saints, jñānis, we have heard and it's been confirmed that they have seen and they have self-realized soul because of their pure consciousness, pure mind. So, these are some of the arguments in this topic of Atma and Sharira, especially when one identifies or uses the terms aham devaha, aham manushyaha, tuloham, shiroham. It is important to analyze and understand body and soul subject very clearly. Without one understanding this fundamental subject matter, one cannot move further or understand anything beyond body. In the next verse, Kṛṣṇa will declare the body is the instrument for enjoyment and the self is the enjoyer, one who experiences the enjoyment. The two parts of these two slokas that we have seen is the foundation for the rest of this chapter. Even though the terms may be familiar to us, the subject we discuss may appear to be confusing, so therefore it is recommended we understand this clearly without doubt. Maybe a repeated hearing of these two parts with taking some notes will help us. Arjuna uvāca prakṛtiṁ puruṣaṁ caiva क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञमेव च एतत् वेदितुमिच्छामि ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव। श्री-भगवान् उवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतत् यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः kṣetra-jña इति tad-vidaḥ।
नमस्ते, हरे कृष्ण।